Hey guys, so I'm back with the next part of our BlazingChat application, real-time chat app using Blazor WebAssembly and SignalR. So I'm going to post the previous parts link into the description. So I would recommend you to go over the previous parts before continuing on this one. So let's continue. In our previous part, we were able to send the message. So for example, this Abhay Prince, this user is online, which is in this Chrome window. If you see Postman user, so in our previous video we were able to send the message. So let's say hi Prince. If we send it, this message was being sent to message controller using http call, and here we are generating the entity, then we are adding it to the database, this message. After that we were notifying the user, the two user, that you received a message from some user. So yesterday, in previous video, basically it was not working. The user was not receiving any notification, but when I tried today, it worked out of the box. Ideally it should have worked yesterday also, but I don't know what was the issue, and now it's working. So if we check from here, we send a message to Abhay, and if we check here, we have this. And same goes this also. If we say hey postman, we sent a message, and this has this message, right? But now we have a problem. If we are clicking on this again and again, the chat messages from left side or users on right side, then this is keep on adding. And if we look into our code, so on chat page, we are receiving the real-time message on this message received event. Then we are setting this new incoming message variable with that new message. And this new incoming message variable is being passed to this chat details component. And if we go to chat details component, we can see we are receiving it in on parameter set method, and here we check if this is not null or empty or white space. Then we are adding the message to this messages collection, this collection. Then we are setting it null. So this is not a good approach. We should not modify the parameters directly. So but for now let's leave it. And what is happening after this, when we are changing anything and this component is being re-rendered, at that time it is again getting the same value, the same new incoming message value, because we did not reset it back to null, right? We received this message, we passed it to this component, we added these two messages, then we never modified this. So this has no effect actually. Let's remove it. So we never reset it, so we need to reset it now. Now in .NET 7 we have a functionality, so we could do something like this: bind, then we are binding it, and after that we could say something like we can run our events. So this after event handler, we have this. So how this works, this is going to be fired after this parameter is being passed to chat details, this component. After that it is going to be fired. So in this case we could have done something like this. So this new incoming message equals null. So it will work in .NET 7, but as we are in .NET 6, so we need to do it in traditional way. So you must have guessed the traditional way. The traditional way would be to have a event callback, and we are not going to pass anything. Let's name it something like incoming message received. something like this. On incoming message received, it will be event callback, fine, and we are going to invoke this after adding the message to underscore message collection. So we will say this dot invoke async, and it is available, so we are going to use the async version of on parameter set async task, and now we need to add a handler here for this one, and we will do something like new incoming message equals to null. So that's all we are going to do. So it should fix that problem, and we need to restart it. So it came, let me restart the Chrome version as well. It shows this postman user is online, and it shows this user is online. So let's send a message again, test message. We will send this message sent, and if we move around here and there, so it is not repeating, right? So it is working. Let's try from here. Testing again, and if we keep on clicking here and there, so that means we have our functionality is working fine. Now the next thing is, if I refresh this page and then go to this user, these two users already have a chat history, so it should get loaded at this point, right? Because we just tested, so there are so many test messages between these two users, this current user postman user and this Abhay Prince, these two users. So when we are clicking on this and this component is being loaded at that time, at this time, it should fetch all the messages between these two users. So for this we are going to fetch these using HTTP call. So let's go to our controller, messages controller, and from here we will get the messages. So let's try public async task I action result, get messages, cancellation token, and for this one, this will be HTTP get, and the path should be, so we already know the current user, so we will fetch messages with this user to, or let's call it other user ID, and it will be int. So let's have it here, other user ID, and now we will get all the messages between these two users. So await chat context dot messages as no tracking, and now we will apply where, so this condition should be m dot from id equals to other user id, and m dot to id should be this current user id. So base dot user id, let me break it to two lines, or we will say that fetch if m dot to id equals other user id dot from id is base dot user id, this current user id. So it will fetch all the communication between these two users. So one here we are saying the other user was sender and this current user was receiver, or we are saying the other user was receiver and this current user was sender. We are saying this. Now where after this we are fetching the complete data, right? For now we have toolist async, installation token, and what is the issue with base? Name can be simplified. So what? We can remove this base, I know, but I was just being explicit. Okay. Now we have these messages. So we will return these messages in OK. Or we can use the simpler approach. We would say enumerable of message, and we can directly return these messages. So it is a kind of shorthand for this. If we are not returning any other type, then we could simply use the direct return type of the response instead of iaction result. Okay, fine. Now we are not going to send the complete message message entity. Instead of, we are going to send a DTO. So let's add a DTO here. In shared, we already have couple of DTOs, message send DTO. Let's add one more. Let's call it message send, and it would share to user and then message. I'll go back to here, and before toolist async we will say select message. We will use new message DTO, and it will have two user IDs, m dot to user ID, m dot from user ID, not to user, to ID, from ID, and then the next last one is m dot content. And now the type of this should be message DTO. Now we are good. Okay, stop it. Now we have this list. Now we need to call this method whenever we are on this chat details page, whenever this page is being initialized. So let's override the initialize method. Override on initialized async. Do we have this method already? No, right? No. Okay. So override async task on initialized async. Now we will do the same thing what we are doing here. Let's do like this only. So API slash messages, and this is not post, this is get. So we would say get from JSON async, and we would tell it that the result type is going to be enumerable of message DTO, and then the URL is going to be API slash message slash We have selected user here, right? Selected user. So we are going to have selected user dot id. Then there is no data, and now this response, this is going to be of type this. So we could say all messages, then we can check, or we can directly assign this messages list. Let's do something different. We will say if all message dot any, if this is true, then only set the messages to this all messages dot to list. If that's not the case, then we have this error message. So maybe we could say that this is not an error, but still okay. Message DTO, we need to change this list to message DTO. And now comes the problem. This incoming message, so we should pass a message DTO here. Instead of this string, we should pass a message DTO. So here we will check if this is not null. Then we will add this. Fine. So the sending part, this is going to be change new incoming message. So we need to change this. It should be message DTO. And when we are using here, we are going to create that message DTO. Message DTO. It is going to be message DTO with what is it? Message DTO. What is hub connection dot on? We are not on. Oh, it is freaking out. Let's go to message DTO. It has to, from, and message. So to is the current user, right? So we can say the selected user dot id. After that, after to, we have from user id. Who sent this? So we have this from user id. From user id. And the last one is what was the message, and it was this message. So we can set the message DTO to this, or we can directly set this. Fine, we have this. Now we have this. Now this is not an error, but for now let's add it in error only. There is no message between you and the selected user dot name. If you want to show that, we could show that selected user dot name. We have this, and we should reset this whenever we received some message or we sent the message. Like this. And one more thing, when we sent the message and it was successful, we are resetting the new message, but this new message should get added to this messages list. So we will say again this message DTO equals new message DTO, and to user ID we have this selected user.id. Then from user ID, this is the current user, and for current user we have our authentication state here. So we would say authentication state dot user dot id, and the last one is message. So it was this new message, and we should get it before this. Then we are resetting it, and add this message to this messages collection, and now we should be good. Let's try it. And there is some error. Let's see what is it. Object reference not set to an instance of an object on initialized async. Chat details line number 77. Line number 77. Selected user. It might be null here. It shouldn't. Oh, my bad. Because we are allowing this to null, and if it is null, this component is still getting this component is there, it is here. So we should do this logic when the selected user is being set. So we will check. First thing, we should move it out to a private method. Private async task load messages async. We check if selected user is not null. Then load these messages. What is this? Load messages async. And second thing is in this on parameter set async. Here we should say if select user is not null. But first initialize then on parameter set, both can work. Okay, so that means we can move this out from on initialized. Let's remove this and check selected user is not null and our messages collection is also empty. Then only do this. If selected user is not null and messages collection is empty, then only load messages, right? Because this is going to be fired at multiple times. But if we change some user from left section, then this value is going to be changed, and then messages will have other message list, right? So what we should do, we should have a private variable here which will say let's int nullable int previous selected user ID. Or maybe let's have it int only, and default value is 0. And when this is not null and messages, there are no messages. And let's add one more condition, that this selected user dot id is not equals to the previous selected user id. If this is the case, then do this load messages. But before that, let's do this. So now we have previous selected user id, we are having this, and now this. Then comes if. Are we modifying this collection directly? Yes, we are modifying this collection directly. So this should be fine now. Let's try it. Stop and rerun. Okay, let's reload the Chrome also. Yeah, it loaded. And now we have these are previous messages. If we check 1002 to 1, this was the message. 1002 to 1, this was the message. 1 2. So we can see these all are messages between this postman user and Abhay Prince. So the same result we should get in here. Yes, we got this result here. And now if we change it, this is not getting changed, right? It should get changed. Let's try here, and yep, let's check our chat details page, put a breakpoint, and let's try clicking on some user. We have new incoming message is null. Selected user is not null, it should be the new user. 1004 selected user id is 1002, it is not equal to this one, and message is oh, this condition, we need to change this. So we will check if selected user is not null and this is not same as the previous one, then we don't need this condition. Load all the messages whenever the user is being changed. For the subsequent request, if this is on the same page and this method is being called again multiple times, then this condition will take care of it. In this case, previously selected user id would be the same user id, so it should work. Let's continue. And we have breakpoints. Continue. Okay, we need to rerun it. Let's rerun. Okay, we are here. Let's refresh this one. Postman user, we have all this data. There is no message between you and Abhay Prince. Yes, that's correct. But in this case, this should get reset. And that means we need to add one more condition. If this is not the case and our messages collection had something, then we should clear our message collection. Rerun. Okay, let's refresh the Chrome also. This user we have data, this user there is no data. but this did not get changed. Why so? And now this, something is not right. We have this random user, there is no message between you and random user, but it should remove this, right? Or maybe we can reset it here. Hmm, we should remove it from here and we should reset this always whenever we are trying to load the messages. Reset it, get message. If you got message, add those. If no, show this message. This is not actually an error, but show this message. And at this time, the message collection should be empty. Yes. Now rerun it. It's here. Let's refresh Chrome. Open this. We have this data. No message. We have this data. No message. No message. If we keep clicking here and there, then we know we have this data, right? Fine. Let's check this one. We have this data. No data for other users. Data for this postman user. And same thing, if we now send some message, it should come at the first item in this list. Let's try it. Test message. It came, but it came to the last. Yeah, it should come here only, right? Because when we are doing this, it should give, yeah, the use, this left chat message should be at top, but this should be here only. Fine. So this thing is working. Now the next part is, so you see everything is working now. And what if, let's try one more case. Refresh. Refresh. Now from here we are going to send a message to this Abhay Prince user, but this user is not selected in this screen. So ideally when we are sending message from here, that user should get added to this left section. Alright, let's try it. And looks like it did not work. Let's see what the issue is. So let's go to chat, and when we receive message, we are checking if this from user ID is not, then we are adding that to this chats collection, and this chats collection should have this, then it should show this, right? On user selected will not work. Let's add a breakpoint and let's see what is happening here. Fine, we have this and we have this. New message, send, and breakpoint did not hit in this case. And why so? If we do this now, Okay, our design is also distorted. Try, and we have this new message. Test new message. Let's check from here. Okay, this time it came. Hmm. Let's try from here. Something random. Send message, and we got it here. What was the issue? Let's try to refresh this page. Now let's send message from here to this user. Again something random. Did not got here. What is the issue? Maybe let's refresh both the pages. Or maybe let's stop it and rerun and then refresh both the pages. Okay, now let's open one user, open here, and in the edge window, postman user, this is not open, right? So let's try a message. It got here. If we continue, we can see no, we cannot see that here. Let's try one more. It came here from user ID 1002, and users have these four users. So if we check from user, yes, from Abhay Prince, and the chats collection, it has 0 items. So we are saying that prepend this to chats, and prepend is not working. And why is it not working? Source element adds a value to the beginning of the sequence. Returns a new sequence that begins with the element. That means it does not modify the same element. I was not aware of it. So this means, do we have some insert at or something like that method? Chats dot insert, no, because what is the type of this chats collection? This is I collection. What if we have I list? Chats. Chats dot, we have insert, and we will insert this at the very beginning. Let's try it now. Stop and refresh. Rerun and refresh both the screens. Okay, this, and then refresh this one. So we will open the user in one of the screens. We are not opening it here, we have this open. So let's add the message here. It came here, and now our chats collection, it should have one item. Yes, continue. This, and then this. Yes, we can see it now. It came here, but it did not load because it came here, but we have not selected it. When we selected it, then we have this data, and now it will work the same. It will add the new message here. So if we check, so if we check, this message should get added. Let's try again. And this is here, so it is working. Let's try the other way. It should get added to this one. Yes, fine. Okay, so this is working. Next thing, yeah. So in next part, what we are going to do, we are going to design these. So the incoming message should be left aligned with this content only, not this to user ID from user ID, not this. Then the message this current user is sending, that should be right aligned. So, and after that, this section, this should not come out of the main container window. It should fit inside this main window only. So we are going to calculate its height, and then we are going to add scroll bar to this. So next part is also going to be uploaded soon. We will work on that soon. So don't forget to like this video if you like my content, and share this video and subscribe my channel if you don't want to miss other videos and other cool stuff. I'll be back very soon. Bye bye.